Okay, I think we're over the shock of the Golden Globes last night with some of their upset picks. So, since it's kind of early in the week, I figured, okay, that leaves enough time for me to come back and totally change everything later. For who's going to win the 26th annual, I don't know if it's annual anymore, but whatever, Critics' Choice Awards. So, quite a few categories to get through here. So most of these, not like solid on. Some of them will have some discussion, uh, but yeah, I think we'll kind of go through the major categories. Obviously, we're not going to do like comedy film, actor in a comedy film. I don't know if they even had half those categories this year, but all that stuff doesn't really matter. Younger actor, younger actress, I don't care about. I'll talk about ensemble. You know, that one relates to SAG ensemble a little bit. So yeah, that one I'll include. But yeah, okay. So starting with Best Picture, Best Film, however it's categorized here at Critics' Choice, I think they've switched it back and forth, but currently I think it's Best Picture. I think after the Globe win, Nomadland seems to be primed to win here again. Chicago 7 is still a very well-reviewed film. Minari is, I believe, the highest of any of these on Rotten Tomatoes, or pretty close to it. Let's see here. I think Mank is in the high 80s. Last I checked, that might have creeped back up toward 90s, but I think it was mid 80s. One Night in Miami, which I actually just saw today, that one I believe is mid 90s. Minari, I think it was like 98%. I think it's the highest because Nomadland was right up there up until I think a couple weeks ago when it started opening in whatever select theaters it could. So I think it's in the 95, 96% range now. But otherwise, I think Ma Rainey's is still that high 90s as well. So that one is probably pretty close. It's probably Minari and Ma Rainey's is the best Rotten Tomatoes score. But of course, that usually is not your best bellwether for who's going to win here. Especially in recent years, it's like they've really gone with films that seem to be ahead for the Oscar. You know, they've gone Boyhood. They've gone last year with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. After that, won a Globe for a comedy musical. They've gone. I'm going to look these up actually. Let's see here, just because I know, like, Best Actor, I know they've gotten wrong a few times here in the past few years, but you can go back, like, Fargo was one of the early picks, so that one they got wrong. They went Roma over Green Book, which wasn't too surprising, because, again, that's more the critics' choice. The critics' taste was definitely more toward something like Roma and less toward Green Book. They got Shape of Water right. Like everybody else, they got La La Land wrong. They got Spotlight right. 12 Years a Slave, they picked Argo, The Artist. They picked Social Network over King's Speech, like the Globes did. Hurt Locker, they got right. Slumdog, they got right. No Country for Old Men was correct. The Departed. Brokeback Mountain, again, like a lot of other awards, they had that one not quite right. Sideways is one, I believe that was a PGA winner, too, or something. But that one, that year over Million Dollar Baby. Or maybe, did Million Dollar Baby still win PGA? I'm just going to fact check that really quick. No, it did not. I think it was Sideways. Yeah, I think I had that right. But yeah, then they went Lord of the Rings. So yeah, that's just quite a few years back there. But yeah, so it's like they're on and off every once in a while. And last year was an off year. The year before was an off year. Before that, they went Shape of Water. So that one was correct. So again, Nomadland, I think definitely with a spot like that asserted that, yeah, it is the current front runner. So something like Trial of Chicago 7 or even Promising Young Woman last night in that same category, the fact that they did not win is a sign that, yeah, they have some wiggle room there for possibly starting something down the road. You know, I think Chicago 7, I think, is still the front runner for SAG. I mean, we could possibly see some upsets there. Minari is up for ensemble, as is Ma Rainey's, possibly. Even something like One Night in Miami, it's got it's a moderate cast, not like a tiny cast for the kind of type of story it's telling, but yeah, it's definitely one that I think is in play. It's because it's going to be a struggle, because that one, supporting actor, if it is Daniel Kaluuya now, so it'll probably lose that one, so then the only other place they can give it is ensemble, but it might end up like the Globes and just go 0 for 2 in the case of SAG, and then 0 for 3 like it did last night at Globes. But yeah, I do think it is, if it's not Nomadland here at Critics' Choice, I think it's Chicago 7, Minari, or One Night in Miami. And I think of all those, I think after last night, Minari won its only category. So that was a sign that, you know, again, they're kind of hedging their bets there in case, because that's the only category Parasite won last year. So So far, if you're on the Minari train, which I know in just the last couple weeks here, we've seen a lot more people bumping Minari up. I've got it up to third place now for my Oscar picks. I think we discussed that last time, but I think Minari is the one that's going to do it. Obviously, it wasn't against Nomadland, so that might have, and obviously the Globes didn't put it in any acting categories or screenplay or directing, so they just did not quite get on board with it like several other critics groups have and stuff. And Minari has also, got quite a few nominations here, like 9 nominations if I remember right. So Critics' Choice did particularly like Minari. So yeah. So that's one. I'll waffle on it. I'll kind of decide here, but it's one I can definitely see after Parasite won. And Parasite, I believe, it was nominated. Yeah, it was nominated here, Critics' Choice. They didn't have any rules stopping it from getting nominated or anything. Because Bong Joon-ho tied for director with Sam Mendes last year. So I think I'll waffle on. I'll decide on it because I think if there is one to upset, I think Minari has the best chance to do that. Real quick, let me just give my thoughts on One Night in Miami. I think it's somewhere compared to this year. I liked it better than like Ma Rainey's, but I didn't like it as much as like Chicago 7 or it's somewhere in that range. Clearly, very well acted. I can't say his name. Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays Malcolm X, hell of a performance. Leslie Odom Jr., fantastic as Sam Cooke. I mean, just immediately from that first scene, I'm like, that sounds exactly like Sam Cooke. I'm like, don't know much about history. It's like all that. That's my favorite. That's the only song I think I've heard of his, other than stuff on. I used to work at an oldies radio station, so there's a few other Sam Cooke ones I know we played, but yeah, he didn't sing that song, but he just nailed it as far as the vocals go, and especially the whole film ends on him on the Tonight Show. That's not a big spoiler by any means, but I mean, who did they cast as Johnny Carson? Because that guy, the sound, at least the sound, he had that, I'm Johnny Carson. He had a little bit of that, kind of. I can't do a great Carson impression, but not unless it's older Carson a little bit. Not even that. I'm on the spot. Sorry, but yeah. I mean that was kind of a nice thing there because like who talks about Johnny Carson anymore? He was such a legend for so long, but yeah, it's only period pieces like this they ever mention that he even existed. But yeah, that was a nice and yeah, the whole end song over kind of the fates of the rest of the characters as they're being somewhat determined for their next step or whatever, except Sam Cooke, who they don't even mention the fact that he died in like 1964, and I can't even because I looked it up. I'm like, because I knew about the Jim Brown stuff, but I was like, how did he pass away? But it was like I don't think they have. Shooting or something? Yeah, they didn't even mention that. They mentioned that obviously we all know that Malcolm X was assassinated, but yeah, they didn't mention shit about what happened with Sam Cooke. Yeah, so that's kind of too bad, but yeah, that would have been a nice little addition there too. But anyways, but yeah, they're both of them are great. They're the standouts of the cast, I think. Obviously, Eli Gorey, or however you pronounce his name. I've heard both Gorey and Gorey, but I think it's Gorey. And who's the other actor here? Aldous Hodge. Yeah, he's been in some stuff here, like Clemency last year. He got some buzz early on, but that didn't quite pan out for him there. I mean, really, all four of them are really good here, and they really get the characters down. I mean, they look and sound like their real life counterparts, definitely. And Jim Brown's I think the only one left here of the four who's still around. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what his reaction was to it. I'm sure he enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's like to an extent, all four of these guys have a totally different perspective as far as civil rights movement and the current administration and the previous administration and as far as advancing black rights and everything and all that, and yeah, it's obviously based on a stage play or there by Kemp Powers, who also did the screenplay here. So yeah, there's definitely some moments where it's like, oh, the dialogue is just so play-like. It's very much like an August Wilson or some of those other playwrights there. So some of that stuff, it's like or even Ma Rainey's this year, was another one. It's like I kind of get distracted by that sometimes. It's like I get it, you're doing the play, so you convert the dialogue over, but it's like there's times where it's like, okay, it's literally not a stage anymore. But yeah, that being said, I think right from the start I was like, oh, Regina, her the way she lit the first scene already, like with the boxing ring, it's like it could have been very, dark, damask and all that, and really, kind of grungy looking boxing scene, which was our introduction to Muhammad Ali. But yeah, that, I mean, already I was like, it almost was almost too much. I was like, it's going to look like a TV movie the whole time, because other than this, it's like all she's done is TV so far. But no, after a while, I think it was just, no, it's just the way it's lit and stuff. And it's who did the cinematography here to help her? Tammy Riker. I don't know if I've seen anything that she has. I'm assuming it's a female. Yeah, Tammy. I mean, it could be somebody like Tamai, or it could be somebody from a different country that I've never heard of. But no, it's kind of her first major thing there. And yeah, and I always say it's tougher, and I think most cinematographers, directors, even actors will agree. It's tougher to light and to stage everything from the lighting and cinematography aspect when you're in interiors. It's very easy to make the outside look pretty because you won't always use natural light, but it's so easy to just, like Nomadland this year, and that's not a knock against Nomadland, but it's just, here's a mountain in the background. It's like, look how gorgeous this is. This whole kind of Grand Canyon-esque, setting out in the Southwest somewhere. That stuff, it's again very easy to make that look pretty, but it's a struggle to do it with interiors, and I think she did a beautiful job with that. As did Sam Levinson this year, as did George C. Wolfe with Ma Rainey's. Most of those, I mean, none of them were like absolute bombs this year. It's like some of those, really interior set, 1 or 2 setting films, some of them can just be disasters. But all 3 of them were definitely good this year. So yeah, the acting, directing, all that stuff was good. Screenplay, was good, and all that. I don't know. It's like after a while, I kind of felt like, again, with Ma Rainey's, it's like, and this one is a little longer than Ma Rainey's. Ma Rainey's was like, without credits, it was like an hour 25. It was like super short. But this one, I think, it was like probably about 110 minutes. Hour 50, hour 45, somewhere in there. Even then, it's like, it really felt like it was, it really took its time to get going. It's like the 4 characters finally meet up. It's like 35 minutes in, and it's like, it is a little slow going there. Once they're all on screen together and they're actually jiving and talking about what they want to talk about and everything, my interest definitely peaked up. But I think before then, there's definitely some moments here and there. It's like, okay, here's the obvious racist character, like a Beau Bridges pops up for one scene, and it's like you're waiting for that bomb to drop, and it's like it's going to drop. You just from the setting, it's going to drop, and when it does, it's like, yep, okay, there we go. It's like it's just a little too obvious in that way, I think. A couple other spots it does that as well, but and obviously it's like it's set in the time, and it's like obviously stuff like that happened. I mean, let's not kid ourselves there, but it's like, I don't know, it's like I almost it's a tough criticism, because it's like we've seen so many other films over the past, especially in the past like 5-10 years, that have focused on not this exact same subject, obviously, but tackled race relations in this time period. I mean, everything from Green Book to If Beale Street Could Talk to this film. It's more set in modern context, but like Moonlight, and even though that was mostly, it was almost 100% black cast, though. I mean, there's so many films that have tackled, even to a degree, Fences and Ma Rainey's this year, and everything else. The Hate U Give, again, is another kind of modern context one. Definitely about race relations there. So it's almost a little bit like how I felt this decade about like those coming of age dramas, where it's like, okay, we've kind of seen not cliche, more cliche in that genre. I think here it's like we've seen these scenarios play out in so many other movies. It's like it's not as brisk, it's not as sharp as it was, obviously, when we haven't seen it in a while and stuff. But so I think there were some moments where it's like, oh, you're supposed to have a bigger reaction, but it's like, well, we've just seen Ma Rainey's, we've just seen a few other ones this year that deal with bigotry and with all that stuff. So it's like, it just doesn't quite hit as powerfully, I think, as it maybe did in other contexts there. But otherwise, I mean, the score's not eligible, but Terrence Blanchard, the little score that was in there, I thought was a nice addition. and all that. That was good. And yeah, costumes, yeah, production design, all that stuff was good. And yeah, I think Sam Cooke's car was awesome. I don't know. I'll have to kind of look through here, figure out what kind of car. I was like, that's a badass car. I'm like, I don't know, but it's like it's a definite, yeah, and definitely plays into the character types where you have somebody like Malcolm X, who's a more Muslim faith and everything, so he's a little more buttoned down. Doesn't eat pork and all. They go into all the stuff there, and then you have Sam Cooke, who's more free and more capitalist in nature and all that, with spending money on cars and all that. And he and Malcolm's perspectives, again, to an extent, all the characters' perspectives very different as far as how they use their voice as prominent black males in the early 60s there. And it is, I believe, 60, like November, December 63. It has to be later than that, because they mentioned Kennedy being assassinated. So it had to be like December 63, maybe bleeding into January 64 or something. We know Malcolm passed away in... here it says right here, February... yeah, maybe I missed the date on it, but it's February of 64. Okay, I was going to say... So I'm like, it had to bleed over a little bit, because they talked about Kennedy in past tense. So I'm like, yeah, he's definitely, 11/22/63 has happened. So, yeah. Okay, maybe I missed... Maybe it was like a title card I missed or something, or just didn't pay attention when it was up there. Anyways, but yeah, all the conversations back and forth, that stuff definitely got my interest back in. So it's not kind of like Ma Rainey's. It's a little bit of maybe not fits and starts. That one I felt like, yeah, there were a couple moments that were fits and starts with that one, sure. But it was like overall, when we got to the end of that film, I still felt like, okay, that almost felt like the end of the second act. And there's like a missing third act that is, off screen or something. Obviously, I believe that's the extent of the play. I don't believe they cut it short just because of Chadwick's passing or anything. Not that I'm aware of. And again, that's not one play I'm super familiar with, Ma Rainey's. But with this one, I think, yeah, they definitely have the completed arc and everything. We see where all these characters are going as their careers evolve and stuff. And Muhammad wants to join or start up the OAAU, which, yeah, I looked up a little bit of that after the movie, because I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of, I haven't seen Malcolm X in so long, so it's like a lot of this stuff I'm like, okay, that I remember, but some of that stuff I was a little foggy on. But the autobiography, I believe that was part of the Malcolm X film, if I remember right. So yeah, and then like I said, yeah, the Tonight Show part at the end, that was a nice little tie-in there. All right, well, so yeah, overall, I think it's, for me, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a strong 8 out of 10, though. It's probably just on the verge of being a 9. Again, some fits and starts. For the most part, though, yeah, again, acting is really strong. Regina's direction, really good. First time out of the gate for her, and yeah, I want to see her get more projects. And maybe not just this stuff. Again, like Chloe Zhao, the next thing she has coming out is Eternals, a big Marvel movie. So Regina, it's like, yeah, throw her in, have her do something, trying to think here. This one, Amazon, it was all behind it, so it would kind of fall under that branch there. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know if she want to do like, if she's talked about what she wants to do next or not. But this is, yeah, definitely a good area to start here and then kind of build and have your budgets get bigger and stuff. But yeah, I want to see her do more stuff. I think she's got definitely some good eye in there for a lot of these good scenes with actors and stuff. And obviously she's a tremendous actor herself. So I think it's a good fit for her, this, because it is such a actor showpiece there. So yeah, I think it's one. I can understand maybe why it wasn't nominated by like Globes, because it's like, yeah, I can see where some of them maybe they appreciated the acting, but they just couldn't quite get into the storyline a little bit, since it was kind of fits and starts, and it did take a while for them to get to all them together, stuff like that. But yeah, like I wouldn't say it's better than like Trial Chicago 7 or Minari or Nomadland or anything like that. I would rank it above like Promising Young Woman, Mank, Ma Rainey's. I think To Five Bloods I liked a little better, and News of the World I liked better. Sound of Metal I liked a little better. I'm just naming off all the Best Picture nominees at Critics' Choice here, but yeah. I think it's kind of middle of the pack for some of these Oscar movies here. But yeah, it's still one I would definitely recommend, though, to go see there. Okay, so that's let's move on here. Since that took up a little bit of time, we'll move on. Director Chloe Zhao. Yeah, I think, again, she should have almost everything going forward here. actor. Despite Chadwick also being up for supporting actor for Five Bloods, after his widow's speech there last night, I think it's going to look bad if you go anywhere else. And it's too bad because like Riz Ahmed knocks it out of the park. Anthony Hopkins, haven't not seen him. He's the father's probably the last one of these I haven't seen, but it looks like he knocks it out of the park. Gary Oldman's always good. Stephen Yeun, kind of an understated role. He has a couple shouting scenes early, but otherwise it's a really emotion based role, and he's fantastic in it. Delroy, I would love to see nominated, but we'll have to see there because he's fantastic as well. But Chadwick. I mean, even with all these great roles, I think I would put Chadwick number one myself, regardless of his passing there. Best actress. Here we go. So in the aftermath here, definitely I might have mentioned it before, but I've heard a couple people talk about it now since, but there's a very possible thing here where Vanessa Kirby all of a sudden falls out of the actress category, and it's Viola Davis, Carey Mulligan, Frances McDormand, and then I would say after last night, I think Andra Day is definitely on more solid ground than she was even 2 hours before the ceremony started there on yesterday. So I put her in. I'm holding on to Vanessa. I'm gonna get her in there. I'm gonna hold her in there. I don't think I'm gonna make any changes unless something drastic happens, like we figure out she murdered 5 puppies tomorrow or something. Something terrible, like the Russell Crowe thing many years ago, where he allegedly was throwing phones at executives or whatever the hell it was during BAFTA or something. But I've never investigated that full story. It's only hearsay from what I know. But it was something like that caused him to lose to Denzel for A Beautiful Mind. But Beautiful Mind for Russell Crowe, but Training Day for Denzel that year at the Oscars. Because again, it's a thing where it's like, okay, it's like Jennifer Lopez, or it's like Timothée Chalamet for A Beautiful Boy. Lopez last year for Hustlers. It's like it's the only nomination the film's expecting. It could get into other categories. Early on, some of us for Hustlers thought, okay, maybe screenplay, possibly a dark horse for picture. And obviously that stuff kind of fell apart as time went on. And with Beautiful Boy, early on, I remember I had that up toward the top 5 for Best Picture. I had Steve Carell in, if I remember right. I had the screenplay, director even. But obviously, again, that one fell apart, and the movie ended up with nothing, and the same with Hustlers. But at the same time, it's like Andra Day is in that same thing, though. Where really, other than possibly costumes, I don't see United States versus Billie Holiday having any success at the Oscars. I mean, it's not on any of the short lists there. She's not going to be in at BAFTA. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit from last night here, but it's a weird thing. But the fact she won and she got that huge moment where she's really emotional with the win there. It's like people are going to talk about that for the next week as nomination ballots start to go out here. Because I think that the ballots don't actually go out here until I'm going to look this up here because I know meant to look this up. See, we're up to 93rd, aren't we? Or is this next year? This is. Oh no, this is for this year. Yeah. Do they have the things here? Impact, COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'm aware of that. Doesn't say when ballots go out. Okay. I don't know. I'll have to try to find that somewhere else. But I believe, somebody mentioned it last night on one of the Gold Derby videos I watched, but they were talking about, they always do those aftermath, videos after and before the ceremonies. But they mentioned, I think Oscar ballots aren't out yet. They're going to go out pretty soon here. So definitely some voters, I think, are definitely going to pay more attention to that film and to Andra Day here after that moment. Again, it's a Jake Gyllenhaal all over again, because I was making that comparison all year for Carey Mulligan, but now it's like it's still possible she misses, but I think Promising Young Woman has started to really solidify itself as a Best Picture nominee. I mean, it hasn't really missed anywhere yet. I expect it to do pretty well at BAFTA. Seems like it's going to make the list for PGA. Emerald Fennell is even she's a possibility for DGA nomination. So it seems like it's going to be still in the runnings there, even if it doesn't end up winning anything. Like last night, I went 0 for 4. So that's tough. And it's like, okay, because the one I had that hasn't gotten anywhere is Sophia Loren. She could break into BAFTA though. That's possible, but I was like, I have a weird feeling about that one. But it's like, I don't know. It might just be Vanessa Kirby Andrade for those last 2 slots. But I'm so confused. And as far as who's going to win here on Sunday night, I'm still confused on that one too. Because Ma Rainey's, if they want to give that a big prize, they have Best Actor. Promising Young Woman, if they want to give that a big prize, and they're not feeling it for Aaron Sorkin for Screenplay, then they can give that to Promising Young Woman and Emerald Fennell. But it's like, I don't know. And then Nomadland will at least get director, if not picture, both. So that's a way. And then Frances is a producer on Nomadland, so she takes a win there. So yeah, I don't know. And then, Vanessa Kirby, though, and I looked it up, she's won like maybe 2 Critics Prizes. So it's like, yeah, she's not one that I think the critics have consistently given stuff to. And if she had won last night, Vanessa had, that would have launched that narrative, of so many split voting going on to where she can win as a kind of ingenue type, which I remember I talked about like a month ago now. But yeah, now I'm even questioning if she gets in. Oh, poor thing, because I know I'm still clinging to that as my favorite performance of the year for this leading actress category. But Carrie's great, Frances is great, Viola's pretty good. I mean, she's not as strong as other contenders here and some of her previous performances, but she's still really good. Should be nominated, definitely, from what I've seen. Zendaya's fantastic, and yeah, I mean, yeah, is that 5 already? Yeah, that's 5. I haven't seen Andrade's yet, but yeah, we'll have to see there. And yeah, it looked like she was doing a good job in the trailers and stuff. So as far as who's going to win, because I think Trial of Chicago 7 is going to win Screenplay, I'm going to put Carey Mulligan here. But I think if she's going to get on a track here and start winning everything else, she's got to win at least this, if not SAG. If not, she only goes into Oscars, possibly looking at a BAFTA win. I think she can still easily win that. But again, unless we see somebody... And on Andra, if she does start winning here and at Critics' Choice, she won't win at SAG and she won't be eligible at BAFTA. So we know we're going to have different winners there. So if the narrative is still, okay, well, she's not nominated these 2 spots, but we're still going to give her the Oscar if that narrative somehow takes off. Yeah, then that makes it tough. But it's like, well, you're not quite in Glenn Close, Olivia Colman territory from a couple of years ago, but you're close. No pun intended. But yeah, that's going to be a struggle going forward here. So yeah, I'll put it on Carey for Sunday night for now. Again, I could switch, but I'm like, I don't really know where they're going to go otherwise. Unless they just tick off Viola Davis there, but on the ballot. I don't mean pick her off in person, but no. Okay, supporting actor. I'll stick with Daniel Kaluuya here. And then there is a song category, so Leslie Odom is also up for that. So it's kind of very similar situation as the Globes there. So yeah, I think Daniel, again, he can very easily, I think after last night, get on a track and win everything. Okay, supporting actors. I talked about this one a little bit in my last video there, right after the Globes. And I think it's still Yoo Jun-yun or Maria Bakalova who are ahead to win this. Since Glenn just won a couple of years ago, Olivia Colman that night did win a comedy prize, so that's that. And I believe she won last year at Critics' Choice for The Crown, if I remember right. But who cares for TV awards here? I don't really pay that much attention to them. This is the one place, though, that Ellen Burstyn has gotten in so far. So, again, unless she pops up and all of a sudden she's a nominee again here. But it's funny because I put her ahead to win. It's like almost as soon as I did, then Globe nominations came out not too long after, and then she wasn't even nominated. I'm like, oh shit, there went that narrative out the window. But yeah, I think Maria definitely stands a good chance here because it's one where it's like there's so much vote splitting going on. I think Mank, overall, there are critics on the film, so I don't necessarily see her as a huge threat here. It's kind of compared, I think, a little bit to like Rami Malek. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't even up for Best Picture at the Critics' Choice that year, even though it just won the Globe, and he had just won the Globe. So I was like, I'm sticking to my guns with Christian Bale, and he did win that night for Best Actor. So yeah, I don't see that scenario happening since Mank. I mean, it's not as critically reviled as Bohemian Rhapsody was. But I just feel like there are definitely some critics on Mank, and there's that didn't give it a positive review. So I think there's going to be enough of them where it's like, yeah, we'll put it in for nomination, but we're not going to give it the prize. But yeah, Maria, I mean, it's like she's been a critical darling this year with her reviews. She's won a whole bunch of critics prizes, including New York Film Critics Circle. But it's like if they want to give Minari something, if not Best Picture or Screenplay or something, then they can give it supporting actress here. And again, Yoo Jin-young is also up at supporting actress at SAG, and I can see her winning there. Since the film did so well, I can see her even getting the nomination at BAFTA and possibly winning if there's enough of a narrative there for her to take off on. So, yeah, we're going to see, especially with Jodie Foster not here on Sunday night, and with her missing possibly up to BAFTA, or including BAFTA, possibly if she doesn't get in there. We'll have to see how this category looks with her out and Yoo Jin-young in, amongst maybe a few others there who might kind of flow in and out here. Because there's 6 slots here, and there's going to be 6 at BAFTA, so that's not going to help us either, unfortunately. So, yeah. So I'm going Yoo Jin-young for right now. But again, that Maria Bakalova, I could very easily be tempted to switch there. But again, like I was saying, since she didn't win last night at the Globes for that Comedy Actress Prize, that hurt her chances. Because if she would have given a really, I don't want, not to demean it, but like cute speech or, something, a heartwarming speech, something that would have gotten, everybody's attention the way Andra Day's speech was, the way Chadwick Boseman's widow's speech did, the way a couple other speeches last night kind of definitely people have been talking about here over the next 24 hours. People will remember those moments. So even in a pandemic year where everybody's doing it over Skype or Zoom or what have you. So yeah, it's like too bad, she didn't get that opportunity. And if she had, I think I would have probably been more tempted to pick her here. But I'll go Yoo Jin-young for right now. Okay, for the Screenplay Prize, I already said, Trial of Chicago 7 I have out front here. And then I do think, again, there's a possibility for something like Minari or Promising Young Woman to upset here, depending on how those other categories go. But it seems for right now, kind of like many of us thought early on, it's like, Chicago 7 for Screenplay kind of seems like a sure bet. For Adapted Screenplay, I'm going to go One Night in Miami here, though I'm, again, tempted by The Father, which I had picked to win last night. That didn't come through. But it's another case here where Florian Zeller is not nominated for director, so they, if they like the film enough to where they want to give him something, the only way to do it is screenplay. But I think it's really down to those two. I don't see Nomadland winning screenplay too. I believe last year, oh boy, I can look it up here. But if I remember right, last year Quentin also won for his screenplay for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He did, over Parasite, over Marriage Story, and a few others there. So I think One Night in Miami is ahead here, though. I'm going to stick with that one there. Okay, for the Ensemble Prize, I'm going to go with an upset here. A lot of people have Chicago 7, which I think will win SAG, but I'm going to go Minari here. I think it's one that could be an upset at SAG for Ensemble, definitely. I think if it's not third place, it's definitely in that second place spot there at SAG. Chicago 7, that's obviously not to say it doesn't have a chance, but, with the critics, liking films like One Night in Miami a lot, too, I think One Night in Miami does have a shot here as well, but, I think it's probably Minari's to lose. With One Night in Miami, I have it in second place, but I think Chicago 7 might be actually a little bit stronger than that. So maybe they're both tied for second place. I don't know. We'll put it that way. Okay. Just going to look through here because, do they have animated feature here? I don't think they have any animated films here. Let me look through here unless I missed it. Okay, there it is. Animated. Yeah, they didn't do an animated category this year. Usually I do animated, but a foreign language film is here, and with that one, I gotta scroll through until I find it here. Here it is. Minari, is also here because it is the title. The title of the category, I believe, it's just short. Okay, no, it is abbreviated. Okay, it's foreign language film. That's why we've seen some disagreements there for that. So I think, like last night, I think Minari will be ahead here. But once it's not in this category anymore, I think something like Another Round or The Life Ahead at some of these ceremonies will have a shot here. As far as the Oscar goes, Another Round and, let's see, who else was nominated here? Two of Us, Collective, and La Lorna are the only other ones that are up at the Oscars there. Life Ahead was not the Italian entry, and then Minari was not eligible there. So I think it'll be another rounds to lose once we get rid of Minari here in this category. So, and that's, something too, because last year Parasite did win for a foreign language film, and it's like, okay, it was the exact same thinking we had the year before on Roma, where it's like, oh, Roma keeps winning foreign films, so that's, up until it won BAFTA, I think a lot of us were on that train of, it's just going to win foreign film at the Oscars too, and that's going to be the consolation prize. And then obviously that narrative flipped for 2019 with Parasite there, but yeah. Yeah, so I know I've got Minari picked to win quite a few things here, but so that's kind of another reason why I'm picking Nomadland for picture here on Sunday, because I think it would be those two only, director picture, kind of like what happened at the Globes there. So, yeah, that one, that's another reason why I'm kind of a little resistant on Minari for picture here. All right. Let's see. They're not doing documentary, are they? I don't think they've done documentary for a few years here. Yeah, like I said, not too long ago I started kind of keeping track of, who's nominated where and stuff. And yeah, documentary has been gone for quite a few years. So we'll move on to the tech categories here. Cinematography. I have Mank to win here since it is black and white. And it's, I believe, the only black and white film in the category. Nomadland is a threat here for sure. Even something like Minari, I think, could possibly upset here. But, yeah, I would say, Mank is probably ahead to win this one. For the film editing category, this one I think is Trial of Chicago 7. Again, just because the editing is such a big piece of the film and stuff, I think they'll go with it there. But Nomadland, which is edited by Chloe Zhao, it could be a chance for her to pick up her third, because she is a producer on the film too, yeah, her third Critics' Choice Award of the night. Let's see, in the design category, starting with costumes, I have Ma Rainey's to win here. I think it'll be my front runner through the season. Mank is a possibility, but I wouldn't totally discount Emma. Because Emma, is kind of that traditional one that would, at least always be nominated. Emma did get quite a few critics' notices there. I believe it was in the 80s, higher 80s or mid 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. It was definitely one that critics enjoyed. So I wouldn't say it's totally impossible there. On the production design side, I'm going to pick Mank here with Ma Rainey's in second, and then again possibly Emma, but I really think it's just down to those two. And Mank, with the Hollywood settings and everything, I think it's there. And plus, I think it is a stronger competitor here than something like Ma Rainey's, which definitely is period set and everything, but the production design is not nearly as in your face as like the costumes are in that film. Let's see, moving on to the music categories for score. I think they're going to repeat with Soul here, but definitely watch out for something like Midnight Sky with Alexandre Desplat. Watch out for Minari here. Or even News of the World, I think, has a shot here as well. So, but I think it's Soul's to lose. And especially since they don't have an animated category. I believe this was the only place that Soul was nominated here at Critics' Choice. So... and that's another one that's very high up there critic-wise. I think it's, again, upper 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. So, that's the only place to award that film. Then for song, we could see Diane Warren win here again, like she did last night for the Life Ahead song scene. But I'm going to go with Leslie Odom Jr. for Speak Now, for One Night in Miami. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, again, if Diane Warren wins again, though... I mean, it's a long time between here and the Oscars, but it's like, then if the narrative is really starting to build up there, that this is her year, she's finally going to win, watch out. Definitely. Let's see, no sound category here, so we'll go to hair and makeup, which, again, I think it's Ma Rainey's to lose, but you got Hillbilly Elegy and you got Mank, and they're definitely fighting for a shot there. And then in a traditional year, if your actor kind of lines up with that, that would be, Glenn Close. But I don't know. Like I said, Glenn Close just won a few years ago here, tied with Lady Gaga for Best Actress. So I don't see that narrative, because it did line up with like Darkest Hour, almost lined up with Vice, but I knew that wasn't going to happen because Rami was so far out front that year after he won SAG. And then like Iron Lady for Meryl Streep, and Amadeus for that one, I think, with F. Murray Abraham. So yeah, quite a few of those will line up through the years for makeup, and that was one of the early makeup categories that was competitive there. So I mean, it's something that just happens once in a while. It doesn't happen every year. Like Bombshell last year, we didn't see Charlize or anybody win there. And John Lithgow, the more heavy makeup person, was not even nominated for supporting actor. But yeah, Ma Rainey's, there is definitely some makeup, involved with Viola's character. So maybe, but yeah, I think it's just Ma Rainey's just winning here. With other than Chadwick, some of the hairstyling I think with him possibly, but and just obviously traditional, just stage makeup or film makeup, but that almost everybody has some touch ups before they go on camera, but yeah, I mean I don't think there's going to be a big crossover with an acting performance when they're. And then visual effects, I believe, is the last category here, because I was kind of, again, looking through, because it's like there's so many categories here that we would expect that are not here. And then, yeah, and again, weird ones that we don't even care about. But for effects, I think it's Tenet's to lose. The Midnight Sky is a more recent release. Arguably a little, well, I think Tenet actually it cracked like 75 on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, or something, but... personally, I didn't like the film, but Midnight Sky I liked better, but not one I would say, stand up, applaud, best of the year. Invisible Man, I think, is the best reviewed of the bunch here, so it's definitely one I think early on a lot of people were hoping that it would come through for visual effects, but it didn't land on the short list there at the Oscars. So they could go with Invisible Man just to upset the apple cart there, and if Midnight Sky and Tenet just start splitting enough votes where something else can win. But... yeah, and then you might go, I mean, I wouldn't totally say it's impossible for Mank either, though, because even though its effects, again, are not heavy, not in your face, it is the only one that's up for Best Picture here. So, normally in an Oscar year, that would definitely help you, but, and especially at the Oscar ceremony. But, 1917 was proof of that, several others through the years there. But, yeah, I don't think there's enough buzz in the category for that one to pull it off. But I would say that one's a distant fourth here. But yeah, I'm really considering though bumping up Invisible Man to win here. It might be that upset winner, but I don't know. It's like so many of Nolan's films have won for visual effects. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Inception won, and this is just Oscars, by the way. But it's like Inception, I'm pretty sure won. Interstellar won just a few years ago. I'm gonna. Just because I'm paranoid that I'm like, oh my god, you're an idiot. How could you have said that? But I believe it won. Yeah, it did win for visual effects, yeah. Like Dark Knight didn't win, but yeah, it's like, yeah, quite a few of the other Nolan ones, though. And Dunkirk didn't even get nominated, though, so remember that. But that was, again, another one kind of like Mank. It's like it's not super in your face with some of its effects. It's more, background, stuff like that. But, yeah. So I'm tempted with that Invisible Man one, but I'm just going to stick, for now at least, with Tenet. So, yeah. Okay, so yeah, definitely there's a few categories that I'm thinking about and possibly might switch up before we get to the awards here on Sunday night. For now, though, again, I would look for Nomadland, probably just picking up Picture Director with editing, possibly Cinematography being the other two. Again, I'm not a strong believer in that one for Screenplay. Now watch it wins, But yeah, actress, I'm going to definitely consider a few other ones there for sure before we get to the ceremony there, because I just don't know, because again, kind of a similar situation there with Andra Day. Why I have her as like the third pick, I think, here, is United States versus Billie Holiday is another one. It's like mid to upper 50s on Rotten Tomatoes. So again, like Bohemian Rhapsody, which almost had a very similar score at that point, it's not one, even though if the performance is pretty well lauded, it's just generally the film itself. Some people kind of stop in their tracks. They're like, "Hold on, it's not one of my favorites." So I'm a little worried about that one. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the only nomination for United States versus Billie Holiday as well, because I don't think it got in. All right, crap. Now I forgot already. I can just look up the film here. Because, it was up for song last night, which, again, I think, again, like I said, a lot of people are kind of saying, oh, she just won just because, oh, no, makeup. Yeah, we mentioned makeup. Yeah, it is up for makeup. So it's, it's not the song. It's not, Andra Day was somebody who helped on the song. So she kind of had the reverse Lady Gaga effect there, didn't she? She was nominated in another spot last night, but this one, she obviously didn't help out with the makeup. She wasn't somebody who would win for that. So it's not going to be the exact same setup there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I was trying to say, yes, a lot of people, like I said, are saying they just picked Andra Day and they picked Kaluuya and they picked some of the other ones just because they're afraid of the backlash that they don't have any black voters on the registration or anything. But it's maybe a little bit of their thinking went into that, but it's like Lady Gaga. It's like they had her up for 2 nominations. It should have made more sense, but again, look at Leslie Odom Jr. Had the exact same thing, but he lost both categories. A lot of those narratives make sense at the Globes, where if you have the double nomination, you'll win. Anya Taylor-Joy last night proved that. She had the film nomination for Emma and one for the TV side. So it can happen. It can happen, definitely. All right. So yeah, we will come back later this week, and we will determine if there's any big changes to make. But again, some of these I think are like director, supporting actor, lead actor. Some of those I think are more solid, but some of those other categories, though, we will look at and we will investigate a little further, and we'll go ahead and possibly switch up a couple of those.